How do you go from being one of football's most legendary players to having $7 in your account and being behind bars in South America's most dangerous prison? Well, Ronaldinho's tragic story began during his childhood. Ronaldinho was born Ronaldo de Assis Moreira in the city of Porto Alegre in Brazil in 1980. He was born into a very poor family and always looked up to his bigger brother Roberto. Keep that name in mind, we will get back to him later. Ronaldinho followed in his brother's footsteps and played for Grêmio as a little kid. This is where the seeds of his greatness were sown. For the next 14 years, he showed his absolutely exceptional talent at Grêmio, starting from the club's futsal team. He very quickly started gaining notoriety and became known for his unique tricks and flicks. He started gaining national recognition when his team won by 23 goals to nil. And no, he didn't walk away from that game with a hat-trick, not even 2 or 3 like Haaland did. He scored all 23 goals in that game. That's 1 goal for each player on the field, plus 1 extra for the referee. Obviously, he was immediately called up to the under-17 Brazilian national team. The team went on to win the under-17 World Cup for Brazil that same year. At this point, everyone knew the kid was here to stay. After the tournament, he made the headlines once again for his amazing skill against Brazilian legend Dunga in the final game of the Rio State Championship. In one of the clips, he did a flick-flack that people had never seen before. Dunga was fascinated by Ronaldinho. Everybody was. Ronaldinho's rise to fame got him a spot in the national team during the 1999 Copa America tournament, where he continued to show his mesmerizing skills and help Brazil to victory. That same year, Brazil qualified for the Confederations Cup, and once again, Ronnie had a stellar performance, scoring 6 goals in 5 games, and even won the award for top scorer and player of the tournament. At this time, a move to Europe was inevitable. After a successful spell at Grêmio, Ronaldinho signed a deal with PSG in France. He didn't break into the first team right away, but still put in some good performances. But this is where the problems started to show already. At PSG, Ronaldinho was a big game player, turning up when there was a huge match with high stakes and showing the world what he was capable of. But in regular matches, he didn't do so well, and his attitude in training was very poor. And it only got worse after the 2002 World Cup. Anyone who watched will testify that Ronaldinho was absolutely amazing. He dominated the tournament, scoring a 40-yard free kick against England, a goal that is still being replayed by many today. And best of all, Brazil won the World Cup, making him a world champion at only 22 years of age. When Ronaldinho got back to PSG after the tournament, things got way worse. People started realizing pretty quickly that Ronaldinho was more concerned with going out clubbing than with football. His attitude towards training continued to deteriorate, and the PSG coach at the time wasn't having any of it. It got so bad that at some point Ronaldinho threatened the club, saying he would leave if they didn't fire the coach right now. The club stood with the coach, and that was the end of Ronaldinho's PSG campaign. That's when Barcelona came knocking. Almost all the amazing clips you'll find on Ronaldinho come from his time over at Barcelona. His dream spell at Barcelona started right at the beginning in his debut match. He scored an amazing goal, dribbling 2 Sevilla players and then hitting a powerful shot straight to the crossbar and into the net. Ronaldinho's name was stuck on the lips of Barca fans from that day onward. He became a fan favourite. He was then joined by some of the greatest players in history, like Samuel Eto'o, Deco, and Lionel Messi. It was the perfect team, and no one could stop them. During these years, we got some of the most iconic goals. He won the Champions League, La Liga, the Ballon d'Or, and so on. And everyone loved the guy, even rival teams. One time after a game at the Bernabeu, the Real Madrid fans gave him a standing ovation. He was definitely something special. It wasn't just his performances on the field that made people love him, it was his amazing personality and his infectious smile that won many hearts. He never really got upset about anything. If he got fouled, he'd just smile and play on. But this carefree attitude was going to do him more bad than good, and it ended up costing him his career. After a disappointing World Cup in 2006, Ronaldinho's decline started to show very clearly. He was still a very good player who showed occasional brilliance, but was incomparable to how he played before. He got injured a lot, and most people blamed his lack of training and lifestyle choices for his poor form. News of his nightlife antics rapidly started spreading across the media, and soon enough, Ronaldinho fell out of favour at Barcelona. And it all really came crashing down when Pep Guardiola was hired as manager. He immediately let Ronaldinho know that his time over there was over and dropped him from the first team. And soon after that, Ronaldinho moved from Barcelona to AC Milan. It was a new chapter in his life, a chance to get back on top of his career and show what he was made to become. But unfortunately, he didn't really change and kept the same lifestyle. But even with his lack of discipline, he managed to shine in his second season at AC Milan. He made 18 assists that season, which was a record. So once again, fans had hope that Ronaldinho was getting back to his previous form. He had lost significant weight and was putting in more consistent performances. But then, something happened that knocked him right back down. The time had come for the 2010 World Cup, and Dunga didn't call Ronaldinho up to the squad. Conspiracy theories started to fly all over the place, and most people thought Dunga was still hurt by Ronaldinho embarrassing him years ago in Brazil. Ronaldinho was very pissed about this. So during that summer, he decided to prove everyone wrong and train harder than anyone had ever trained to show the world his career wasn't over. And yeah, not really. What did he actually do? He partied. And he partied all summer. The nightlife stories filled the media again, and he gained even more weight. People even mocked him every time a topless picture of him surfaced. Ronaldinho finally got to a breaking point and decided to leave AC Milan, going back home to Brazil and joining Flamengo. This was a very controversial move that infuriated fans from his childhood club Grêmio. Dinho just couldn't catch a break. He wasn't too bad in the first season. The club tried to accommodate him as much as they could by giving him 2 days off for clubbing, no matter what the training schedule was. This was actually written into his contract. That's just crazy. But his time at Flamengo quickly came crashing down when the club couldn't pay his wages anymore in the second season. So once again, Ronaldinho packed his bags and left. He then joined Atletico Mineiro. And to be fair, his time at Mineiro was very successful. He scored 10 goals and got 15 assists in his first season. This won him the Best Player of the Season award. It looked like prime Ronaldinho was starting to show up again. He was absolutely remarkable, displaying the flair and skill that fans loved so much. He helped Mineiro qualify for the Copa Libertadores and ultimately led them to win with outstanding performances in the semi-final and final games. This won him the award for South American Player of the Year. It actually looked like he had made a comeback. All his fans were filled with joy, but unfortunately, it once again didn't last long. He sustained injuries and eventually left Mineiro. After this, Ronaldinho joined a few other teams like Querétaro in Mexico and Fluminense in Brazil, and even played futsal in India for a few years. And the day we all feared arrived in 2018. Ronaldinho hung up his boots and retired from professional football. You might think the story ends here, and I wish it did too, but unfortunately it only gets worse from here on. Remember the brother we mentioned in the beginning, Roberto de Assis Moreira? Ever since Ronaldinho lost his father, Roberto became responsible for him. He took care of all his businesses and shielded him from anything that could distract his little brother. He even quit his own football career to be at Ronaldinho's side. Because of this, Ronaldinho grew up in a bubble, not having to take responsibility for anything in his life, as there was always someone to cover up for him. That probably didn't help to build up discipline. Ronaldinho and his brother had many controversies over the years, but the biggest one by far was the one that ended up landing Ronaldinho in prison. You see, Ronaldinho and his brother were arrested for environmental crimes. They tore down some parts of a forest without any permits. They got away with it. He was prosecuted again for tax evasion. He got away with it. He was then dragged to court for building a fishing deck on a river, which he wasn't allowed to build on. He, again, got away with it. But the police decided to suspend their passports so he wouldn't flee the country. But Roberto, who was the mastermind behind all of these shady businesses, got fake passports for both of them so they could go on a trip to Paraguay. The trip was supposed to be a promotional event for his book. How dumb can you be? Did he think one of the most famous football players in history just wouldn't get recognized by anyone? The justice has not understood that Ronaldinho did not know that he was committing a crime because he didn't understand that they gave him some false documents. He is silly, his lawyer said to the media. Imagine getting dissed by your own lawyer. But yeah, this time he didn't get away with it. And that's what caused Ronaldinho, and his brother of course, to get locked up for several months in one of the worst prisons in South America. But that didn't bother Ronaldinho. Even in jail, he continued to play football with the inmates without a care in the world. Ronaldinho strikes me as a clueless child who never really grew up. He didn't have a care in the world and was always happy as long as he had a ball at his feet. But as any successful person knows, it takes more than talent to become a legend. And it's quite sad to think that he never actually achieved his true potential. Just imagine what he could have become if he had Cristiano Ronaldo's discipline.